Hi everyone, John Liebman here. You're watching for BassPlayersOnly.com. Coming to you today on location, Van Nuys, California at the Xotic Guitars World Headquarters, Xotic Guitars and Pedals, with our good friend and exotic artist, Jorgen Carlsson. How are you, Jorgen?
I'm pretty good. How are you?
Good, good. It's great to meet you in person. I've been such a fan of you and your music for so long, so nice to meet you. Yeah. And I'm glad we get to do it here at Xotic. You've got an interesting background and a very cool gig, and I'd like to start with the early days. You are from Sweden, and I'd like to hear about the early days, your musical upbringing, what attracted you to the bass, what kind of surroundings did you have? Did you have lots of records playing in the house, and did you go to shows, and were your parents musical? Did you have brothers and sisters? That in that spirit, how would you describe your musical upbringing?
Wow. Yeah. Well, Sweden was a little different than America, I guess, because we didn't have a radio in the same way. But
what was playing on the radio? Do you remember?
Not really. It was just they were playing all styles at the same time, pretty much. But my mom listened to ABBA, Elvis, and my dad listened to some country and western and big band stuff. So that's why I chose Kiss.
I'm reading about you. I was looking up some interviews, and who was your favorite band? Kiss. What was the first record you bought? It was a Kiss record. Who was your favorite bass player? Gene Simmons. And I did see ABBA as an
favorite bass player is not really true. I mean, it was
first early bass player when you were,
Yeah, but it was more his persona.
When you weren't old enough to know better, I guess.
Yeah, he's actually pretty good. I like his bass playing, but not for the same reason I like Mike Porcaro or somebody else, but.
Never heard those two names mentioned in the same sentence before.
I played on a Kiss record.
Did he really?
Yeah.
Okay, well, that doesn't surprise me, but who were your other influences? I mean, when you were growing up, I think I remember seeing Geezer Butler, and you liked Black Sabbath, and I saw Jimi Hendrix. I did see ABBA on that list of your influences. Yeah. Was that because of your mom or because you were in Sweden?
No, later on, as far as songwriting goes, pop music, ABBA, it's very influential.
So what made you decide to leave Sweden and come to the U.S.?
Well, I wanted to go to L.A., New York, and L.A. seemed to be the best thing for me at the time because of music schools as such. Grove School of Music was the one I chose. And
was Joel DeBartolo your teacher?
Yeah, he was. He was fantastic.
Was Robert Trujillo there when you were there?
No. I think I was the last graduating bass student before the school went out of business, and I'm really happy I did go. And yeah, I wasn't planning on staying, but I met my future wife and started to pick up some gigs, so I ended up just tagging along.
What can you tell us a little bit about Joel? Because I remember he didn't mince words, and he was very direct and straightforward. I got to know him a little bit, but what was your experience studying with him and learning from him?
Well, he was force of nature. He kind of the thing he taught me the most was to not copy other people. Just it's cool to acknowledge it, but then you got to play your own shit. And if you didn't, he terminated the class and just left. Pretty much.
Wow.
And if you were late, he left too.
Yeah.
After he had it out with you.
Wow. Okay. Let's talk about the gig that you've had for since about 2008, Gov't Mule.
Mm-hmm.
And how did that gig come about?
Well, let me think. Jeff Young, a mutual friend of me and Warren. I had worked on Jeff Young's 2 solo records. Well, I was working on the second one at the time as a producer and a bass player and mixer, whatnot. And so I guess the whole Mule thing came about, and he heard about it, and he wasn't really thinking about me as the guy that plays bass because we were working on production and stuff. And then he just called Warren up. I got this crazy guy. He might just be the right guy for you. So he's from Sweden. He's Deep Purple, Black Sabbath, blah, blah, blah. He might just fit. And so by word of mouth, they flew me to New York to SIR, and that was it. It was a good fit. I never heard of Gov't Mule or Alan Woody.
Okay, well, let's talk about Alan Woody a little bit, because how much do you think about him, or did you think about him at first when you're playing the lines? Were you trying to be like him a little bit, or like you, or taking Joel DeBartolo's advice, don't try to copy anybody? How much is his, spirit, for lack of a better word, still in the band?
Oh, it's there. It's there. I don't try to copy him, but I mean, the stuff, the sound, the whole thing, you have to grab the essential part of it in respect to the songwriting and the whole thing. But it was a bit overwhelming. It wasn't just like one song to learn either. So we had that. I think I just tackled the studio versions before I even listened to any of the live stuff, which was on purpose. I didn't want to hear it with all the other bass players. There was more than Alan Woodard too. They had a whole crazy lineup there, and I don't know. Alan's thing was the thing that struck me the most was probably the 16-0 with the pick, all those lines, the flying all over the fretboard, which I was totally into as in a natural way, and I think that's maybe why Warren picked me. And that, plus I didn't know the Allman Brothers either, coming from Sweden.
Oh, you had an excuse there. You're a long way from.
He said, "Don't worry, we don't play that shit in this band." He was kidding, but that was fun.
Tell me about Warren, because I've been a big fan of his for a long time. I've seen him on TV. I've never seen him live yet, but I never really got a sense for what kind of guy he is, what kind of personality he is, if he's, high energy, or if he's laid back, or if he just tells it like it is, or, what kind of guy is he?
Well, he's I see him as an ambassador for all the musicians out there, humanity, everything. He's a really cool dude. Very cool. Sings, plays guitar. It's crazy. It's just, I have to look over it once in a while on stage, go like, wow. At my audition, actually, I wasn't thinking about the guitar playing as much as when I heard him sing. It was like,
yeah.
I'm going to say motherfucker. Yeah. That's what I was thinking.
Okay. Well, that answers my question. Let's talk about your equipment. I mentioned we are here at Xotic. Tell me about your Xotic equipment. You play, I think we're telling me they had made you a bass that you like, and now they're making another follow-up bass because you liked it so much. Yeah. Tell me about the Xotic basses.
Well, it was through a mutual friend again. Toshi Onaga, guitar player that I play with a lot. He's the guy from Jimmy Kimmel, the house band. He hooked me up with these guys, and I came in and tried one of these P basses, and just surprisingly easy to play, and it was good all over. The only thing I was a little suspicious about was all the electronics with the extra trebles, mids, and bottom end, and all that stuff. I'm used to regular P bass, which is just tone. So I had to make me a special one with a sweepable mid that worked out tremendously, as Donald Trump would put it.
Huge. Let's not take a conversation too far in the wrong direction. But no, Xotic makes some great stuff, and we've interviewed Chuck Rainey, and we've interviewed Rufus Philpott, and John Pena, and even on the guitar side for guitarplayersonly.com, Scott Henderson. So there are a lot of great players and high-profile players that appreciate Xotic. Toshi Onaga, great guy, and it's a great atmosphere. What's keeping you busy these days, Jorgen?
Well, the Gov't Mule is the main gig.
You have a new record coming up? Are you going to start working on one, you were telling me?
Starting pre-production very, very soon. And heading into Austin, Texas studio to record in November.
What can you tell us about it that nobody knows yet?
I can't. We haven't started. It's simple as that. You never know.
Okay. How many Gov't Mule records are you on?
Well, this will be the third studio record.
And you have some live stuff too?
Yeah. My second show that I did was a DVD. The Pink Floyd show was a Halloween show that we did. And I had no idea at the time that it was going to come out on record. But it's interesting when you listen back to those tracks. The first set we played was the Mule stuff, and then the second set was the Halloween Pink Floyd stuff. And It's pretty hectic. I'm playing on top of the beat, stressed out, and but it's got a good vibe to it. So I tend to play on the backside of the beat. Well, at least I'm trying. So
in LA now, everything's laid back, right? Well, now that you've been here, you're established, you've got a great gig. You should continue doing that gig for forever or for as long as you want. But what else would you like to do in the future that you haven't accomplished yet? Is there something on that list of things that you've always wanted to get to when the time is right? I mean, you came over here for a reason, to pick up and move halfway across the world. You must have had something in mind. Not that you're not doing something pretty incredible, but...
I was actually very into Jeff Porcaro, to be honest. And the last few years I've been playing with Steve Lukather quite a bit, so it's kind of an in on that thing. As strange as it seems, but it came in a very natural way. We just hooked up and became friends before we played.
That's always nice, too.
Yeah. Well, it's not true. We met in the studio, but then we became friends, and then we actually played proper after that. So
you wouldn't have become friends if you didn't like each other's playing in the studio.
Well, maybe not. Probably not.
Yeah, probably not. What do you think you would be, if you can imagine, if you weren't a bass player?
Engineer, producer, songwriter, for sure. I'm a big fan of engineers and stuff.
How about something outside of music?
Just talking to my wife earlier today, maybe make furnitures, build furnitures by hand, doing crafting like that.
Yeah. Where is IKEA? That's not from Sweden, is it?
Yes, it is.
Oh, it is?
Yeah. I wasn't thinking in that terms, but a little bit more custom style.
Yeah. Okay. Well, please bring us up to date and let us know the status of the new record, because we're all eagerly awaiting it. We'd love to hear it, and much luck, continued success to you. Great getting to know you. Yeah. And let's get together again and do this when the record is out, and we can talk about that and whatever else happens between now and then. Okay. All right. Jorgen Carlsson, great getting to know you. On location at the Xotic World Headquarters, Van Nuys, California. I'm John Liebman. You're watching for BassPlayersOnly.com.